Wow, it's that time again, Norm.
It certainly is, Dean.
What shocked us about our trips to the US?
Wow. This is going to be another controversial one, Dean.
Oh, it's going to be an exciting one, Norm.
Well, we'd just like to say we're Norm and Teen. We talk all things retirement. And if this is your first time watching one of our videos and you enjoy it, we would be honored if you would consider to subscribe to our channel. So, Teen, what shocked us going to the US? And let's put this into context. We'd just emigrated from the UK to Canada. It's 1992. We have never been to the U.S.A. and our two kids were keen to go.
It was a very exciting prospect, wasn't it?
We were going to drive to America.
Yeah. And the kids thought this was great.
They did. So, what was the first thing that shocked us in the US?
And that would have to be the price of gas. Now, on that, I'm going to say we were so excited to tell everybody we were going. The one bit of advice they said, do not fill up the car before you go. Just put a little bit in to get over the bridge, get over the other side, and then go to the first gas station and fill up for the trip. And that we did. We took their advice, and when we pulled into the first gas station, we just couldn't believe, Norm, hey, how cheap the gas was.
And we'd come from the UK just months earlier, and we thought the price of gas in the UK was pretty okay because we lived there for so long. Then we came to Canada, and it was cheaper. And then we went to the US,
And it was
cheaper again.
It was amazing, wasn't it?
That really shocked us. With the price of gas is so cheap in the US. So number two kind of follows on from number one, but one of my favorite subjects, beer. So cheap. Couldn't believe it. It was felt like cheaper than Coca-Cola in Canada.
And that's a favorite of Norm's, hey, beer.
Absolutely. And the other thing that really shocked us about the beer was, as Tina said, we just pulled into that gas station and they were selling beer in the gas station. Whereas coming from the UK, they would do everything in their power, same as Canada, to keep anybody in a car very far away from alcohol, of buying beer or anything. So, beer, incredibly cheap and sold in gas stations.
Which was amazing, wasn't it? So, moving on to number three, this was one of the trips that we had decided to do was because it was the Canadian March break. The kids were very excited, so we looked at the map and we thought, ooh, well, there's a great looking place called Myrtle Beach, and we sort of researched it quite a lot and we decided that's where we were going to go. So we actually rented, didn't we, a condo. It was right on the beach, and
Beautiful.
This was all very exciting that we were off to Myrtle Beach for the first March break, wasn't it?
And what was the temperature in Myrtle Beach, Teen?
It was around 60 degrees.
A perfect English summer's day.
So to us, all of us, we were in shorts walking up and down the beach thinking, wow, this is awesome.
We just left minus 30 in Ottawa, and here we are at 60 degrees Fahrenheit in the middle of summer wearing our shorts, and all the locals were wearing winter coats. It was incredible.
We found it very funny, didn't we? Because here we thought this was so awesome that we left the snow behind. It was warm, and the locals were all wearing coats. It was funny.
It was.
And that actually, with it being March break, that ties us into another thing, Norm, was that the golf was so cheap.
Oh, it was incredible. Myrtle Beach is golfer's paradise. Yeah. And we were getting the local newspaper, and they would have the adverts in there. This is going back to the early 90s. Yeah. And so if you went at a certain time of day in the afternoon, man, it was cheap. And the golf courses were fantastic.
Yeah,
So
you said that, didn't
they'd
you?
give you a cart, and I think the two playing golf for $25 with a cart. It's unbelievable. And that was the first place that we ever saw an alligator on a golf course, and it absolutely terrified us.
Well, as you can gather, we're not used to alligators or
No.
anything like that, are we?
Not at all. So
Wow.
that was great.
That was good.
So I think we're number 14, how professional and friendly the service staff were. And what we mean by that is restaurant servers and also shop assistants going into department stores, outlet stores. So friendly and welcoming, and actually wanting to assist you in a store instead of running away from you, as they might have done in the UK. And also the restaurant staff, they were just so professional. It's as if they were making a career out of it, which they probably were. But as soon as you sat down, they came up, they had the coffee, they had water, cheerful, welcoming.
Yeah, we really liked that, didn't we? We enjoyed that.
We did. They're just incredibly professional, and it added to the enjoyment of our trip to the US. So
It was.
Excellent.
And if you remember, Norm, that was when we got introduced to our very first Walmart store.
it was, because
And
in those
yeah.
early days, Walmart hadn't come to Canada. And
So we remember going in the store and we got greeted by a greeter, and we were like, wow, this is really cool.
we'd never seen this, never experienced it. We walked into a Walmart store,
It was a great
totally
concept.
not knowing what to expect. And this woman was
yeah.
saying, "Welcome to Walmart. Have a great day." And we're thinking, who the heck?
It was a great experience, a fun experience, wasn't it?
It was fantastic.
Oh, we're on number 5, Norm.
Yeah.
Ooh. Now, this does tie us into something that we also did fairly recently. Well, say fairly recently, it was 2019, wasn't it?
Yep.
And we actually came across information, and we decided to do a bus trip down to the US.
So we
didn't
got picked up in our hometown.
Yes.
And was driven on this luxury bus coach all the way to Daytona Beach, and we have a video about that, so we will link it around about now.
And it took us 2 days, didn't it, to get down there? Now,
It was quite the experience.
yeah. And so one of the things that we did see when we looked out of our hotel room, wasn't it? I said to Norm, wow, you know what? I think some guy is buying his wife a new house over there. And he said, well, why? And I went, well, the house is all wrapped up. It's wrapped up like a gift.
Yeah, it was like, you go to the car showroom, they put a ribbon on top of the car if you're buying it as a surprise. Well, we jokingly were saying that this guy must have bought his wife a house and had it
Because
wrapped
it's
up.
all wrapped up. And then the more we looked into it, we realised
It was
was...
fumigation.
And then that we sort of went into slight shock horror, didn't we, with that?
Yeah.
Because we have never, ever heard of this, especially being in the UK and then Canada. So this was really new to us, wasn't it?
Fumigating the house, presumably about termites, but
Yeah, because we don't get those in Canada.
but it was such a dramatic thing
Oh,
to
yeah.
see. We were on a top floor of our hotel looking
So
down
it was
on this
very
house.
exciting, wasn't it? Getting all wrapped up, then fumigate.
So gift wrapped houses in the US. Who would have thought?
Ooh, number 6.
Outlet malls. That was one of the things, going back to the early 90s when we first arrived in Canada, people were saying, you should go cross-border shopping. You won't believe the prices. The deals are incredible. Because our prices were higher in Canada, the exchange rate was very favourable for us to go to the US.
Yeah, it was, wasn't it?
So, the outlet malls, what shocked us was how cheap the stuff were. They really were clearing brand name goods, incredibly cheap. We'd never seen anything like that. And our two kids were having a field day of getting sports brands and sweaters, all the good stuff.
It was
for cheap.
very exciting, wasn't it? We had a great time.
So the outlet malls in the US certainly live up to their name of having clearance and great deals. So that really shocked us at how great the prices were.
Well, another thing was the fast food. The fast food was so cheap, wasn't it?
It really was, and they always seemed to have a deal, didn't they, Tina?
Yeah, it was like almost 2 burgers for the price of 1 or something, wasn't it? Or 2 for $5, or just unbelievably.
And the other thing was the variety of fast food that we had never seen before. All different types of cuisine, Mexican, regular burgers, chickens, but not just KFC, but all sorts of different...
Oh, different chickeny type ones, names we'd never heard of.
That's right, and so
Great
reasonable.
variety.
It was so inexpensive to have fast food, especially when you're driving and you're not wanting to stop. So that was number 7. Number 8 would be, once again, we knew Canada was big, but we were early in our exploring of Canada. So for the March break, on one year, we drove to Orlando, Florida. Took us 2.5 days to get there.
That was a long drive, wasn't it?
We weren't trying to race there because we had 2 children with us. So we were trying to be reasonable. And so we had 2 hotel stays on the way down. But it's a long way. But it doesn't look a long way on the map.
No, you think we'd kind of be getting a little more used to that, hey?
You would indeed. So that was quite funny.
Another thing that we noticed was that everybody was so patriotic. There was so many U.S. flags. Everywhere we looked, the houses and the businesses.
The amount of people who have a U.S. flag hanging outside the house, it was just incredible to see. Coming from the UK, nobody put flags out in those days. That's back in the late 80s, early 90s. I think there was some law about having a flag on your property in the UK that prevented that.
Yeah, I think there was some local thing, wasn't there?
But it was just touching to see how patriotic the US people are and how they revere their flag, and the amount of places, houses, businesses, all happy to display a flag. And
we thought it was great, didn't we?
we did. It was incredibly well.
Very exciting.
So these are just a few of the things that shocked us about our time going to the US, having never been there before, and we hope you enjoy.
Yes, and we hope that everybody is staying safe out there and keeping well. And till our next one.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.